Hi everyone, welcome to the Animal Reader. The Animal Reader is an animal news website and we do a weekly show from Worm in Rotterdam in the Netherlands where we're based. Today we're going to talk about a worldwide movement called Animal Rebellion, and we're talking to people from 4 countries, from England, from the Netherlands, Germany and Argentina, and we're going to start with Kieran from England. That's where Animal Rebellion started. Welcome Kieran, and how did it start?
Hi there. So Animal Rebellion started kind of off the back of Extinction Rebellion, which is a climate justice movement which originated in the UK. Mm-hmm. Now, with Extinction Rebellion, we felt as if like the animal justice narrative wasn't really being kind of expressed. So Animal Rebellion started to bring this narrative into the wider climate justice narrative, because we all know that animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of climate breakdown and global warming.
And how big is Animal Rebellion in England?
So we're constantly growing. We have a large national support team of around 50 volunteers. These are like part-time and full-time volunteers. But we also have multiple local groups, doing their own autonomous actions around the UK. So we have several in London, we have Bristol, we have Manchester, and always more growing.
And what have you accomplished in England? Because England, I think dairy is really down. Activism is really big there, animal activism. But what have you accomplished with Animal Rebellion?
So far we've definitely brought larger climate justice narrative, and so we've seen this in the media, that when we talk about climate change, like animal agriculture is kind of a leading factor around that conversation now, and we're seeing this across mainstream media. This conversation is actually starting to happen, and what we've seen across the UK in the past year or so is that several local councils are actually starting to take the necessary action. So if you look at Enfield Council in London and Leeds City Council, these councils have brought in measures to reduce the amount of animal products which are being used within the council. So Enfield Council have banned the use of rats within their catering services, and Leeds City Council have introduced meat-free days into over 180 primary schools. We're seeing big changes in the local areas.
Animal Rebellion is a global movement. How did that happen, or how does it exactly work with other countries?
So kind of in a similar fashion to how Extinction Rebellion function. It may have started in the UK, but we see this movement growing globally because we see the issues of animal agriculture and climate breakdown all across the globe. And so, everyone, around the world feels like, this is a time to take action against our own governments, wherever we may be. And here in the UK, we have a strong relationship with all the different groups around the world. So we have, roles in which people can liaise between the countries. So we have European liaisons, we have Australasian liaisons, and the American liaisons. And so we're able to plan between each other, and we saw that with our Blood in Your Hands action back in July 2020, where over 20 countries around the world, took action on this day. So in the United Kingdom, we went to Trafalgar Square and we painted fountains blood red, making a point that the government has blood on their hands, and this action was reciprocated around the world. So there's a very strong connection between all these different groups.
And what is your personal reason for why did you join Animal Rebellion?
Good question. I had just come out of university, by the time that Animal Rebellion was like kicking off. So yeah, I saw like plans for the October 2019 rebellion, and I had this urge to kind of contribute to like this big movement because I was seeing what Extinction Rebellion were doing, and I just saw like this huge like collection of like people power all across the world, and yeah, I just was so inspired to come down to London for 2 weeks and like take the necessary action that we need to actually avoid complete climate breakdown. So yeah, it's a very like personal story. I'm sure like many people like around the world can like talk about having like similar feelings of like coming out of, let's say, university or job and feeling like we have like a certain path that we're going to follow, like it could be a career or whatever. But yeah, for me, it was just like this need to, seek justice in the world. And yeah, that's how I got involved in Animal Rebellion.
And what are your plans for 2021?
Yeah, so like we're kicking it off with like a campaign across the UK targeted towards local councils. So as I was saying earlier, like we've been seeing lots of changes within local councils across the UK, and we see this as like a really good opportunity to like achieve the smaller wins that we need to build momentum in order to achieve like net zero by the year 2025. And so if we can like target the local councils, campaign to invite them to like introduce like meat-free meals within schools, to make all like council catering completely plant-based. And what we should see from this is eventually these steps are gonna accumulate eventually before like the UK government as a whole is actually starting to transition to a plant-based food system.
That is amazing if that happens, if they actually go fully plant-based. Why do you think it's so successful in England compared to other countries?
It's a good question, and I don't think there's really any one answer to it. I guess looking at Extinction Rebellion and now looking at Animal Rebellion, like we see like this movement has like really taken off in the UK. The UK mainstream media, is starting to cover this climate disaster a lot more. So it's been brought into like public conversation, and it's kind of owed to like people who are willing to take like any kind of sacrifice that they can to build this movement to achieve this justice, which we all want to see in the world. So yeah, we rely on people power.
We're going to talk to Mel May from Animal Rebellion Germany. Welcome, Mel. How big is Animal Rebellion in Germany?
Hi, thanks for having me. I can't really express it in numbers like of people, but I think we started last autumn, so 2019. After or within the rebellion wave of Extinction Rebellion, and I think since then more and more local groups were founded, and I think now we're more than 15 local groups, I guess, in Germany.
What are the topics you're tackling the most in Germany? Like, what are the topics that you're fighting for the most in Germany that need to change?
So when we talk about the climate movement in general, I think in Germany the main topics are at this moment coal, so the energy sector and the transport sector. But this is why Animal Rebellion exists, because the focus is really much on energy and transport sector, which is also correct and also important. But we have to talk about the animal agriculture as well. And this is why Animal Rebellion is here, because it is still not done enough in Germany, even though we have a lot of farms and really big slaughterhouses like Westfleisch or Tönnies who contribute massively to climate change. And the pandemic has at least put some spotlight on some of the mentioned companies and brought to light that the animal industry is really not only needlessly torturing innocent beings, but also exploiting humans who have to work under horrible working conditions. And so we were also addressing these problems during actions in the last months. But there's so much more to say. As an example, Fridays for Future in Germany has published a feasibility study about the climate crisis and what Germany has to contribute in order to meet the 1.5 degree target, and the animal agriculture was not even mentioned here. So this is really a contrast because on the other hand, science clearly states that food system is responsible for at least 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. Some sources even state that the animal industry is even responsible up to 51% of it. So we need to change. We need the food system transformation. We need change in the agriculture system. And we have also talked to some scientists, for example, Marco Springmann from Oxford University, who has also contributed to the IPCC report. And scientists have estimated here that if everybody ate like an average German, the food system 2 degrees target would be exceeded threefold, which means that we would need 3 planets to take up the amount of food-related greenhouse gas emissions. So there's a lot of potential to save CO2 gases in the agriculture, but the government has to listen to science and act. And also Germany is, for example, also called the biggest slaughterhouse, as most animals are needlessly killed here. So it says that in Germany, the most animals are killed within Europe. So this is the major thing we're addressing.
What was your personal reason to join Animal Rebellion?
Well, actually, because I want to do whatever I can do to create a better world for my generation and also for the ones after us. And I think that we people, we have the power to change things for the better. And if we talk about climate crisis, we need to talk about animal agriculture. And in my opinion, not only that animals, so other sentient beings, have to suffer so much in the current system, but also the animal industry is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. And it's clearly, I mean, it's what science says. And I think this is something we all can contribute to. So it's, like I said, not enough to change individual behavior, but we have to change the system. And that's exactly what Animal Rebellion is about. And this is why I joined the movement, because I think this is really an effective way to do something about it. I mean, like Greta Thunberg says, we cannot solve a crisis without treating it as a crisis. And if solutions within the system are so impossible to find, then we have to change the system itself. And I think Animal Rebellion has really good structures and good strategies to do so.
And now we're going to go to Argentina. We're going to talk to Richie Guzman. Welcome. Argentina, Animal Rebellion, you guys are relatively new.
Yes, that's correct. Hola. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Yes, we are very new. We started this year, and we all were part, and some of us still part of Extinction Rebellion Argentina. And now we are Animal Rebellion Argentina, and we started just, I will say, a couple of months before the big issue that we're dealing right now. I think we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, no, tell us, what is the big issue you're dealing with right now in Argentina?
So in June this year, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Argentina released a letter where China and Argentina were about to sign a huge deal of bringing pig factories into Argentinian territories. The thing is that they are just gigantic, and they involve not only animal cruelty, which we all know, but also big consequences on the climate and the specific places where these factories are going to be held. So we are trying to stop this. We united forces, and it's became a big civil disobedience and a force. We are creating. We actually stopped the agreement to be signed.
Okay.
But what they're doing, yeah, we're winning, but it takes a lot. It takes more time.
Okay, you're winning, but I thought it was gonna be, because now we're in November. It was gonna be signed now, right?
Exactly what we're going to. So we started all this campaign. We even got attention from a lot of famous people that no matter if you're vegan or not, if you like understand what the consequences of this big deal is going to be, you just, you understand that there's no way this is going to be good for anyone, for the country, or for anyone in that matter. Just a couple of pockets, if you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Exactly.
And so what the government did is that they kind of like let the decision to be held locally, because this country works in a federal state. So instead of doing this through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they just demanded and they redirection all the action into local governments, in that sense trying to avoid all the attention that already was growing in the whole country, basically. So already one province signed, which is Chaco. That's the name of the province. They already signed the deal, but we're not going to stop until nothing of this can be done. We don't want this to be done here in Argentina.
But they already signed the deal with China.
Yes, so they did in Chaco.
They did, and then so you're trying to prevent it in other provinces to happen. So is it basically if it happens in each state, then it will happen, or it's like every state can decide and it will happen in that state?
Exactly, any state can decide, but the thing is that provinces like El Chaco, there's no evidence of the government anywhere, basically. Like, they are really poor provinces, and basically they just use them to put, transgenic farms of transgenic, cultivation of transgenic soybeans and corn, which is basically, that's the other concern of these gigantic pig factories, that they need the food for those pigs, and that food is going to be harvested here in Argentina, and it's not going to be like what I'm talking about. It's going to be Monsanto and big companies that we are trying for many years to take out of the country. We don't want this level of production here.
So what do you think the chances are of this, like only one province signing the deal? Do you think more will join, or will it just remain this one?
Well, apparently there's two more that are about to sign it too, but there's been a lot of in that matter. And we actually are about to hold our second national event. We did it on November 9, which was called 9/11, as a social environmental emergency. It was the biggest event held in Argentina in that matter. And the media didn't cover us properly. They just cover us as like left parties and some environmentalists trying to save, and vegans trying to save the pigs. But they don't see the whole picture, and they don't want to show the whole picture, because of course the media, it's behind all this as well.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge that we have right now in Argentina, and that's why we united forces and we make this kind of like coordination between 100+ organizations of environmental movements, just any civil citizen that it's involved, that wants to be involved, they are involved in this. Left parties, you name it. It's a lot of people that we are not behind this. We don't want this to be done in Argentina.
And I think it's a really, like also what you say, like in Latin America and also like other countries, but that you're combining it, like Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion, that you make it like one big cause instead of, like you just said, like some vegans trying to save some pigs, because that's not what's happening. But you're like, people need to understand the bigger picture, and by joining forces, you guys are like showing people the bigger picture. Do you feel like people in Argentina are understanding you? Like even if the media is not covering it, you have social media, you have other ways of reaching people. Do you think people understand your message?
Look, so far, it's so funny you ask me this because last night I was calling one of my best friend, actually, and he's a dancer. And we are creating this festival because what we want to do is not like a regular protest or a regular strike. You know, we want to create a little bit of the world that we want to live in, right? And that's with art, with uh, proposals of the world we want to live in.
Yeah.
You know, a different kind of production, a different kind of a way of behaving as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to him, and he was like, no, I can't be part of this because I'm not vegan. And I'm like, but this is not regarding only the animal rights. It is about animal rights, of course, if you want to, feel any kind of empathy around that, but it's a bigger picture, as you just mentioned before. It's way more deep, profound than that. We are in a ecological crisis right now. We only have 7 years to revert all that, and it's not only about our choices on our plate, right?
Yeah.
It's about bigger pictures like this. We have to stop this. There's no other way. That's a bad choice.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you're saying, because people, like, it's not anymore about, it started maybe like, stop eating meat, we shouldn't hurt animals, but we're basically hurting the planet animals and humans live on. And we're based in Europe, and you see the people, more vegan places are coming. People think about the climate much more. So some people stop eating meat for the environment, basically, not for the animals, but for the environment. But so how is that in Argentina? Do you see that happening there too? Do you see slowly change coming? Because I know Argentina is a big meat-eating country.
Yes, they are very proud of that. But luckily, we just got this report that 12% of Argentinians are now vegans, which is a lot. So it's a fight that we're winning. Yeah. But I believe that's why people get confused when we are trying to put all these aspects together. They just see one thing. They see, they just want to save the pigs. Of course we want to save them. We don't want thousands and millions, because there's going to be millions of them. That's what they want to do. They want to bring millions of pigs. The deal is about providing China within 4 years with 900 tons of meat.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to stop this. We don't want China. Why do you think China wants to bring this here? They have massive lands up there. Why do you think they want to come to Argentina, to a third world country that needs the money, that is on an economic emergency? Of course we are going to say yes, because there's no other, choice. Apparently.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that China had a few years ago, because they had swine flu, they killed almost all their pigs, and they're trying at all ends to get pigs back. It's a really, we cannot spend this whole show talking about this topic, but it's a really frustrating issue.
No, of course not. Yes, totally. And that's why we join Animal Rebellion. And Animal Rebellion, we like to call it sort of like the evolution of Extinction Rebellion in some way, because it basically, we have the same demands and the same principles, but we added one thing to our demands, which is a plant-based diet. In order to face this climate crisis, we need a plant-based diet, and especially in cities like Buenos Aires and bigger cities. We are not talking about indigenous groups that they have to go plant-based. Of course not, because that's their tradition, of millions of years, right? We're talking about our modern society that needs to stop consuming meat the way they're doing.
We're going to talk to Billie Savage. She's from Animal Rebellion Netherlands. Welcome, Billie. First of all, how big is Animal Rebellion in the Netherlands?
So thanks for having me, Priya. Well, Animal Rebellion has actually grown very fast, considering that we just started a year ago, and we didn't actually launch until January this year. So it's one of the bigger chapters of Global Animal Rebellion, considering that we're now all over the world, but it started in the UK, but this is one of the bigger chapters. And we have a system where people volunteer and they come and go in different capacities. So it's always in flux. But the core members have been here since we started, launched on January 11th. So it's pretty stable.
And can you tell us something about your personal interest? Why did you join Animal Rebellion?
Yeah, well, I've been doing activism for some years before I heard about Animal Rebellion, and I heard about them last year just as they got started. And I just had this feeling at that time, this is it. This is what we need. It's different. It's trying to bring all different movements together for a common goal, which is the survival of life on Earth. But at the same time, it's wanting to get environmental groups to talk about the root cause of the problems that we're facing. So this, until recently, and actually I don't know whether it's due to Animal Rebellion or just generally the sign of the times, but people have started to talk about it more. People are talking about the fact that our food system is to blame for the situation we're in, environmentally, global warming. So this is even being talked about by big groups such as Greenpeace that were really silent about it before. But in general, it's still not the media is quite taboo. And Animal Rebellion is there to get people to talk about this, that we can't solve this crisis, environmental crisis we're in, if we don't address the animal emergency. Sure. So this really spoke to me because I thought, here we can actually, it's not just going to be the same old, we've been fighting for animal rights for my whole lifetime and not getting anywhere. So this is something new and something that has a chance. That's what I felt.
People abroad might think the Netherlands, everything is arranged really well there and animals aren't suffering. You and me know that that's not the case. But what are the biggest problems, or what are the problems Animal Rebellion is tackling in the Netherlands?
Well, Netherlands is actually one of the most crucial countries to be working in. It's one of the 5 main importers of products of deforestation from the Amazon. So products that we buy in our supermarkets are directly linked to deforestation of the Amazon for animal feed. It's the world's second biggest agricultural exporter, and it's such a tiny country, so it's coming right after the US. 70% of this country's surface is exceeding the critical limits for pollution, nitrogen pollution, runoffs from farms. It's a country that really has a big problem with the intensive farming here. It's one of the most intensively farmed countries in the world, and that's why there's been this unrest here, so-called farmers' crisis, where the politicians have been telling them you have to cut down on the number of animals, and they've been protesting about it. But there really isn't any other way forward if they don't try to cut down. Now there's one solution to pay off farmers for cutting down on their amount of animals that they have, and other propositions being brought forward, but so far not really any action. There's a lot of resistance from the lobby groups. So one of our actions during the rebellion was to stage a protest at the ZLTO, which is a lobby group for animal agriculture here in the country, and to tell them that they need to think about the environment and address these issues.
Thank you for watching The Animal Reader. The Animal Reader is an animal news website. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please go to our website, www.theanimalreader.com. Every day we post news stories about animals there, and support us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you, and see you next week.